So God bless you. Thank you for joining me. Let's get right back into this. So we know that Jesus fulfilled at his first coming the spring festivals: Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of First Fruits, and Pentecost. Now, it tells us in John 12:1, it says this: 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And that's what it tells us. So we know that Passover is Nisan 14. It tells us that in scripture. And we know that Nisan is the first month, and it just told us that 6 days before. So if we count back, we get here to the 5th day for Jesus arriving in Bethany. Now, Jesus has to travel to Jerusalem, and remember that the males are required for certain feasts and festivals to be in Jerusalem. And we know that this is going to be a festival here because it tells us that in scripture. So John 12:12 says this: the next day, the great crowd that had come to the festival heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. So they took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him, shouting, "Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the King of Israel." So we know that that is Shabbat Haggadol, the great Sabbath. And so when I say, because I just read that to you about the palm branches, that Palm Sunday was really a Saturday, this is why we know this. And also Matthew 21 will speak about Palm Sunday as well. Okay, we've got a little bit more to do here. Now I need to share with you from Exodus. This is 12. This is verse 14. Here's what it says: this day shall be a day of remembrance for you. You shall celebrate it as a festival to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall observe it as a perpetual ordinance. Then it goes on to say in Exodus 12:18, it says this: in the first month, from the evening of the 14th day until the evening of the 21st day, you shall eat unleavened bread. So we know that there's the first day is this feast of unleavened bread, that this is a festival Sabbath, and it tells us when it starts. Remember, the night starts at sundown. So Jesus being crucified, we have this festival Sabbath starting, and there's no work that can be done. So Jesus is going to be laid in the tomb, but there isn't time to get the spices to prepare those. So we know that Mary did it later, and we know that because scripture tells us. So let's go to Mark 16:1. It says this: when the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so they might go and anoint him. So Jesus is going to be crucified on a Wednesday because the festival is starting and no work can be done. It can't be done. They have to wait for that to be over. And then they have to go, and then they have to buy the spices to prepare them and get it done before the weekly Sabbath, which is going to start again. And I know that this all makes sense now that we're looking at this and that you all have an opportunity to see this. Now, keep in mind that we have the Feast of First Fruits that's coming as well. And Jesus is the first fruits from the grave. And we know that from 1 Corinthians 15, verse 20. But in fact, Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits from those who have died. So when we look at all of this scripturally, for Jesus to be in the ground 3 nights and 3 days, because Friday to Sunday, like I said, it's as if the church isn't even trying to get it right. That does not fulfill scripture. We also know with the festival Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath, and this Feast of First Fruits that's starting, that in order for all of this to make sense scripturally, Jesus would have had to have been crucified on a Wednesday, in the grave Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and then he would have had to resurrect on Sunday. He would have had to, because he was the feast, because he fulfilled the Feast of First Fruits, and being the first fruits from the grave, then it makes sense logically that Jesus would have been resurrected at sundown when the Sabbath ended, right before the Feast of First Fruits, kind of right at that exact time, is the only way that it seems to make sense and to fit scripturally and logically. And I know I had to talk really fast, but in these past 2 days wanted to give you everything that you had missed with the video that I had to change and then get you all caught up. So, right? Okay. messagewps@gmail.com. Armor Up, we write at dawn. May God bless you as always. Have a great day.